Hello and welcome to a mini episode of the Think Rugby podcast. My name is Andy Moe, and this week is just me. Zav isn't here because he's been a little pussy and he's seen the doctor about something. It's just been a Sav 2 hour, you know. So this week it is just going to be a solo podcast. Firstly though, last week the episode we released, it certainly struck a chord with a lot of folk that was watching. We obviously appreciate every comment that everybody leaves. I will be honest, I'm humble. I'm willing to admit I was wrong, but we will address that podcast next week, you know, the comments and stuff. It was also our third most viewed podcast or episode since we started the YouTube channel, so we'd just like to thank you for that. So, to the weekend, Edinburgh, Friday night, at the Hive Stadium, at home against a Springbok-starred, Sharks team. A lot of Springbok caps was there. I got to be honest, I think that was the best I've ever seen Edinburgh play under Sean Everett. I thought as well that the form that Edinburgh have shown recently really played into how they played this game. To summarise though, for those that didn't catch the game, like Zav, fucking slacker, I'm ill, whatever. That game, although it was a club game, that had the intensity of a test match. It was a real bruising encounter. I loved watching it. I thought it had like everything. There was tries, like scraps, and a massive brawl in which Etzebeth he just ends up in a heap. I think it was like it took 7 Edinburgh players to take him down. Yeah, I didn't really care at the time who it was he was fighting. I just thought, wow, this is 7 Edinburgh players are going after Evan Etzebeth here. This is insane. Yeah. Edinburgh, I mean, obviously the intensity of the game was up. If it was any other game that they had this intensity for, and I am not expecting this performance from Edinburgh every week because obviously it's just a club game. But wow, that was some performance, albeit they did miss 3 opportunities in both halves to get 3 tries, something that would, come to regret. Similarly, the first 2 tries that they did get, albeit they were right in the corner, very, very difficult for Ross Thompson. They were unconverted, and in these high-pressure games, that's the difference. But, So we've been saying a lot about the performance for Edinburgh. I thought standout performers, Jamie Ritchie up there. In my opinion, he was only picked for man of the match by Andre Esterhuizen, who, wow, what a game he had. I think one of the 3 opportunities that Edinburgh squandered going for a try was because Esterhuizen, physically, just jackling and turning over the ball. So yeah, other than Esterhuizen, at a time when the Sharks were really struggling, Jamie Ritchie was on fire, scoring a try and turning over the ball again. I said it on Twitter or X during the game and after the game. I was like, he has got to be included. Jamie Ritchie, you can clip this up, put it wherever, make us go viral. Jamie Ritchie has got to be in the conversation for the Lions squad. I know it's very, very competitive in the back row, but for me, the form he's shown, he has got to be in the conversation. Ever since the Autumn Nations series to this year's Six Nations, he wasn't picked to begin with, I think, for the first 2 tests for Scotland, and he came in against England, and okay, Scotland lost the game, but he was by far the best player on the pitch. What a great run of form he's on. The result was heartbreaking for Edinburgh, but the performance, I thought the character and the performance that a lot of the players shown was something that we really haven't seen under Sean Everett, and I have been quite critical of Sean Everett and how Edinburgh have played this season, for obvious reasons, But it's like, I've seen them flop, and then I'm thinking, Sean Everett, does he get another year or whatever on his contract? Edinburgh right now, albeit they lost, and they really could have done with the league points that were on offer. This is how I don't expect this every week from them, but this was a very good benchmark to be like, right, we don't expect to get this 10 out of 10 performance. Next time, if we get 7 or 8 out of 10 and get the result, brilliant. This is how I would expect them to play. I don't know. I think it would be very unwise for Edinburgh to hand, or the SRU rather, to hand Sean Everett a contract extension, but that's just my opinion. I don't know, I'm not paid enough to make these decisions within the SRU establishment, but there we are. Up next, Edinburgh have Zebra away on Friday. They're 15th, albeit they put up a very stringent performance against Glasgow. I think it was 6-14 to Glasgow in what was a bit of an arm wrestle. After how they played last weekend and looking forward to this semi-final the following weekend, like the weekend after for the Champions Cup, Edinburgh will be looking to get a real bonus point win away to Zebra. I think it's the only way they could rectify, we're not plucky losers, we can't play like that, and we deserve to be in the fight. It's not just luck. So that's my prediction for next week. So yeah, as I say, Glasgow, moving on to them now. They played Zebra last weekend. Score was 6-14, and I mean they got the win, but yeah, I mean realistically, you look at the league table. Leinster, they're top, only lost one game this season, domestically that is. They're 9 points behind Leinster now. They're 4 points ahead of the Bulls, who they are playing this weekend, and yeah, I mean Leinster's form is remarkable. Glasgow found that out at the Aviva not all that long ago, very recently. But yeah, I think at this stage in time, Glasgow would 100% jump at the bit to get second, and if it came to it, play Leinster in the final. Interestingly enough, the last regular, if I could even speak properly, the last regular round of fixtures in the league, Glasgow play Leinster, and that will be a very, very interesting game. So as I say, Glasgow did win at the weekend, but they will need to win again this Friday at home to put some arm's distance between them and the Bulls. Obviously, they've got Leinster in the last regular round of the season. They're only 4 points behind, and they will be very, very keen and eager and willing to avenge last season's final loss in Pretoria against Glasgow. Roles reversed, the reverse fixture. Yeah, I mean, ideally, just a win should do, not a bonus point win or anything, but Glasgow, they've got a depleted squad, and more you see it, you're getting a really restless head coach in Franco Smith, who's getting really frustrated with all these players leaving, not renewing their contracts. He's subtle digs at the SRU. You'd hope Glasgow would win, seeing as they've got the home advantage. But all these other niggling factors, which they didn't have last year, could come to their downfall. I hope it doesn't, but it could do. Regardless, though, I think it'll be an interesting game. Being the home team, I do back Glasgow even, regardless of the scoreline. But if they are careless in any way, they will be made to pay, and they will likely lose. So here's hoping Glasgow win. Now, to end off the podcast, it's been reported by Wales Online that Scotland defence coach Steve Tandy is set to be offered the head coach role at Wales ahead of the summer tour to Japan. Laughably though, Wales Online also were reporting and I quote, that he is unlikely to be in place for the tour as Cardiff boss Matt Sherritt, end of quote, and Glasgow flop Danny Wilson, you see how I ended the quote there, they're expected to take the lead on an interim basis for the two-test tour in July. Honestly, everybody that's listening right now or watching, how does that make sense? Make that, what I've just said, make that make sense. You're going to offer somebody the head coach role ahead of like a summer two-test tour, but he's not going to be in charge. Warren Gatland has been was long overdue, and it was messy, and you're like, right, we can finally get rid of him, get somebody in until the end of the Six Nations, and then a clean break after that. No. We're going to wait until after, several months later in the summer, and then appoint somebody. So, I don't know. Mercifully, Franco Smith, in theory, should be staying at Glasgow. Well, provided Steve Tandy even takes the job, it's meant to be that he's going to be offered the job. I mean, who would want it with the state which Wales are in? I mean, back-to-back wooden spoons in a 17 winless run. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. And yeah, just the WRU, the timing of all this, it's lousy. There's no other way of saying it. It's completely lousy. But hey ho, I'll be turning your well worth every penny you're making by the sounds of it. In terms of Scotland, well, David Nucifora might have to make a decision about Townsend and Franco Smith if Steve Tandy leaves this year, rather than putting his head in the sand ahead of the Lions. But I don't know. I still think the SRU will come out and make the wrong decision and be like, no, Townsend will have another year, take us to the World Cup, and then that'll be over. If I say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Scotland are not going to get any better under Gregor Townsend. And I'm sorry, I am fed up. I want something fresh. Give it to Franco Smith. At least he knows what it's like in recent times to win a trophy. So yeah, that's what I think about all that. Before we move on, before I finish the episode, be sure to check out all the links in the description to all of our social media pages. Even if Zav isn't here, I will say follow him on TikTok, on Twitter or X. Be sure to leave us some more comments. As I say, next week we'll be reviewing last week's episode. Thank you for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.